Hi, welcome back to another Ask Alyssa Anything. This is part 2 of Natasha's question. She has asked, how detrimental is snoring to our voice or our vocal mechanics, and what can we do to protect ourselves from ourselves? Last week I answered her question, the exact same question about coughing, and this week I'm going to talk about snoring, even though I don't actually know as much about snoring, and I just want to be honest about that. Here's what does stand out to me that's really interesting about coughing versus snoring. When we think about a cough, there's actually a forceful exhalation, which is trying to bounce the mucus off of our vocal folds, send whatever particles that are not meant to be in our airway out, right? So that's what a cough is all about. But largely, the active part of snoring, if you will, happens on the inhalation. And I was actually watching a really interesting animation that I can share that shows how it creates like a suction of air through the windpipe and the pharynx, which is the fancy word for the throat. So essentially, our soft palate is actually like kind of a hangy thing hanging down in our throat, and the uvula is actually part of the soft palate. It's the hangy ball part that hangs down. And all of that is getting suctioned backwards into the airway. And also the tongue gets suctioned backwards when you are snoring. Snoring is also often exacerbated by having an open mouth. So if you are a snorer, if you snore, it's likely that you may wake up and feel kind of dry and maybe like stuff has just been like pulled backwards. And this is where we kind of get into my territory. Now, I have to say, part of the reason I'm not an expert on snoring is because I haven't had a lot of people come to me saying I'm snoring and it's really impacting my voice. A lot of times the impacts of snoring are respiratory. You wind up seeing a doctor for sleep apnea. But that being said, when I look at the mechanics of how snoring works, I can see that it might create some back of tongue tension. It might, the innervation of our soft palate might start to become less active. So an interesting exercise that you could try for your soft palate in the back of your tongue is a KAH. This is a Kristin Linklater exercise that goes out and in. So you're going to breathe out on a KAH and then breathe in on a KAH. And maybe this will be like little calisthenics to make these muscles a little bit more engaged so they're less flappy and less likely to snore. Try this with me. Ready? Here we go. And maybe try that before you go to bed, in addition to all the things that all the websites say about not drinking alcohol and not eating late at night, and see if that helps with your snoring and helps with your voice. I'll be curious to hear.